Greetings, friends. I wanted to record a little video for you today talking about some beliefs and stories which I had when I was running my last company. In fact, beliefs and stories I had for most of my working life until I kind of challenged them, which I'll come to talk about. They're kind of beliefs and stories, like I said, which I kind of followed, which I believed pointed to creating a successful company. And they are beliefs and stories which, to varying degrees, greater or less degrees, you probably will identify with as well, that you believe will point to creating a successful company. But I'm recording this today not to reiterate these, not to point to them as kind of right ideas, as good ideas, but on the contrary, the opposite. I'm pointing to these 6 ideas, these pervasive beliefs, not as the route to commercial and business success, but as the route to commercial and business challenge. And so I kind of here today really to debunk these ideas, to point to them as wrong beliefs. So what are these 6 ideas? Well, it helped just to start by kind of rewinding a little bit. I grew up around a family of kind of entrepreneurs, of people who create their own work. So grew up really believing that that's what my working life would be about too. And of course, the ideas that we grow up with have a huge impact on how we then go about our own work, whether these ideas are kind of right or wrong. So my dad, he also had his own companies. And I have really clear memory, clear recollection of, being quite little. I don't know, 5, 6, 7, 8 years old, that sort of time. And my dad working on projects and, needing to kind of work all night. And there were times when my brother and we would actually camp out in his office while he was there with his team, and they would kind of be pushing through the night to get whatever it is that they were doing done. And, I remember these quite vividly. I remember the kind of desk that we would camp out under. And it was quite exciting for us as little kids, to feel like we were close to the action, to camping out in the office, which was quite an exciting thing to do, eating a lot of Kit Kats, I seem to remember. But these kind of ideas, this, kind of points to the first and second, if you like, the first 2 of these beliefs, these ideas, which really I came to kind of hold as quite important when I was running my own business, and actually in time with reflection realized that they weren't helping me, they were actually harming. And so the first of these ideas is actually that business is hard. It's an idea, like I said, which I inherited from kind of watching my dad, watching my family around me, watching, I guess, the society, the culture at large. There is this idea, this story, this belief that business is hard, that work is hard. Now, I challenge that. I say that it's not actually. It need not. This kind of push, this relentless quest, this push for ever harder, more effort actually is detrimental. It's not a route to success, despite the story that we believe, despite the story that we tell. Business need not be hard. And the second of the beliefs, which kind of grew up and sort of challenging from those kind of days eating Kit Kats under the desk in my dad's office, is that somehow how useful, how valuable we are in our work is linked somehow to how much I put into how much I do. Now, we see this all the time in lots of different companies, companies feeling that in order to justify a big price tag, for example, they produce a big report. I mean, who gives a shit? Nobody reads these big reports, but it links to this idea, this kind of misguided belief, this misguided story that somehow how valuable we are is linked to how much we do, and to earn more, to be worth more, somehow we need to produce more. That is just patently not true. It is not the case. In the same way that business need not be hard, a relentless quest, our value, our worth is not linked to how much we do. Our value, our worth is linked to how useful we are. There's a management thinker called Michael LeBeouf, I think he's called, and he says that clients and customers only buy 2 things: They buy good feelings and they buy solutions to problems. They buy their problems solved. So how valuable you are, how much you are worth is not linked to how much you put in. How valuable you are, how much you're worth is linked to the good feelings that are enjoyed by your clients and customers in working with you. And your value, your worth is linked to the size of the problems that you are solving. So earning more, generating more isn't about doing more. Earning more, generating more is about solving bigger problems or recognizing the value that you create in the good feelings that your clients and customers enjoy by working with you. So if those are the kind of first of these two myths, these two beliefs, which we are kind of busting apart today. The third is this idea that big is best. Now, our culture, we live in the kind of cult of the large. I know from my own experience running my own business, but you see it kind of all over the place. We have this idea, this belief, this story that big is best, that big has all of the opportunity, that big has all of the resources, that big has all of the money, that big has all of the power. And with all of these things, that big somehow wins, that the Goliath wins over David. But actually, maybe that's a much more kind of potent, much more useful story, where the news, where the media, where the kind of ideas of our time are obsessed by the big. The focus is on the large. The power, as we know from David and Goliath, actually exists with the small. I say to you, running your own business, running your small business, I say to me in running my small business, actually the power is with the small. It's not with the big. The power is in the ability to act quickly. The power is in the ability to have a real, genuine relationship with the people who you provide your work for. Big businesses can't do that. They have a completely disassociated relationship with the people who they serve. But you running a small business, you have the opportunity to have a genuine, real relationship with the people that you serve. And that means you can evolve with them. You can grow with them. So the power is not with the big. The power is with the small. Big is not best. Small is where your superpower is. Small is where the superpower is. So that is the third side. Big is not best. Small is your superpower. So if the kind of the first of the kind of first four we've kind of undone here, this idea that business is hard, kind of challenge that. The second idea that somehow your value, your worth is linked to how much that you do. We've challenged that. This third idea that big is best, we've challenged that. Next idea I want to challenge is this idea that speed wins, that doing things quickly is a good idea, that doing things quickly is important. Now, I guess just as I'm talking, the story, if we just spoke a little bit there about David and Goliath, the story which is coming to mind here is the one of the tortoise and the hare. Again, if we live in the cult of the big at the moment, we also live under the illusion of speed, that everything is happening ever faster, that the first, the pioneer wins, must move quickly, first mover advantage, all of these things. Now, I don't doubt there is some truth in some of these things some of the time. But this idea of doing things quickly, of doing things now, doing things fast, actually, it just makes for bad decisions. It makes for a kind of mania. It makes for a craziness. It's not a good, sound, solid platform to decide what you're doing. Sure, like I was saying, the reason that big isn't best is big can't make any decisions. Big might have an illusion of power, but with that power just comes size, and the size equals complexity. We're talking about here is this kind of idea of speed. Yes, there might be instances where you can make an instantaneous decision and that might be beneficial, but chasing speed above all else is not in anybody's kind of interest. To say that speed doesn't win. Actually, having a long-term orientation, a long-term direction of travel, and then dealing with the decisions which come up in the moment is the way to go. But speed in itself isn't the thing to be aiming for. Agility, adaptability, and evolvability. These are the things which are actually the ingredients for success. So the next idea which I want to debunk, the next belief I want to debunk, and like I said, I kind of offer these because these were beliefs which I held true. These are beliefs which I held as important, and I came to realize that they were not important. So I share them with you today with that same invitation, the invitation to look afresh, the invitation to challenge the ideas that you have. So the fifth of these, the fifth of six, is this idea that somehow our market is large. That our market is everybody within the category that we might operate in. The amount of times I've spoken to somebody and, they said, but no, the thing I do, it's kind of relevant to everybody. And I think about this actually in my last business. We were selling services to marketing directors, essentially. So we were design and marketing services was one of the things that we were doing there. And so I guess also the story that I had was that all marketing directors were prospective customers of ours. But equally, I also part own an organization which provides meditation courses. And again, if not careful, there can be a kind of an idea that exists in the team there that somehow these meditation courses are, that everybody is a prospective customer for these things. And again, whilst in some respects that might be true, everybody might be a prospective customer of these things. That's not the way to sell. Most people have no interest in what you're doing. Likewise, most people have no interest in what I'm doing. And it's important that we remember this because it can mean we stop chasing everybody. We stop chasing the approval of the masses and focus instead on that small slither of people who are genuinely interested in the thing that we do. The small slither of people who want to make the change and see our offer, our contribution as their route to doing that. The more we focus on that slither of people, the stronger the relationship we can have with them. And that is where success lies. Most people are not interested in your thing. So put that idea down. You need to polarize. You need to focus on a smaller number of people. And the final idea, which I'm going to undo, is this idea, again, hugely pervasive in our culture, that growth is good. This is the story, again, another story of our time, particularly around this kind of idea, with the biggest best, that we should all be chasing growth, year on year growth. Things should get bigger all of the time. But, one of the things that I really found is that growth is a false prophet, particularly financial growth. And so financial metrics actually are a terrible motivator. They might kind of get us up in the morning on one or two mornings, but they don't really do much to motivate us beyond that. And so this idea of kind of chasing growth, of growth as good, it's a false prophet. It's not going to serve you well. Growth is not good. It's kind of born of an inner hunger. It's born of a yearning for more. And that inner hunger, that yearning for more, that knows no bounds. That can keep on yearning. That can keep on needing. It can keep on reaching forever. And so growth as a target, growth as an idea is not going to serve you well. It's a hamster wheel by its definition. It knows no ends. So growth, this sixth belief, this sixth idea that growth is good is the final one to undo. So in a series of sort of little videos which are going to accompany this, I'll talk about each of these six in their own right. But yeah, I guess I kind of leave you with it, that often there are ideas which we've inherited. There are ideas which we've picked up from family, from our society, from the narrative around us. And we assume these ideas to be true. We assume these ideas to be useful. But actually, my invitation to you is to look afresh, is to challenge them, to take these six ideas, this idea of big is best, this idea of growth is good, this idea that business is hard, this idea that speed wins, this idea that that your value is linked to how much you do, and the final idea that people are, lots of people are interested in what you do. Challenge them, pick them apart, see them for what they are, understand that these are wrong beliefs. These are not the route to commercial success. They are the route to commercial anxiety. Thanks.